A quick story. I became a Canadian citizen in 2000. At that time, I was 20 years old, 25 years old, and my father was 45 years old. Due to the war in former Yugoslavia and all the shenanigans that happened there, I was actually away from my family for 10 years. So I left my home when I was 15, and I was to go back for the first time when I am 25. At that time, I just got my Canadian citizenship, so it was safe for me to go back to visit my home country and my parents for the first time in 10 years. Of course, the war, the separation took its toll on my family, and my mother was ill, my father was ill as well too. They discovered that he had only about 7% blood coming to his heart because all of his arteries were clogged up due to the lack of proper nutrition during the war and due to stress and everything that he's endured during that time. So he was scheduled to have a quadruple bypass surgery. So they were going to cut him up completely and remove veins from his leg and move them to his heart in order to get new arteries supplying blood to the heart. And my job was to, upon arrival to Bosnia and Herzegovina, collect enough blood for that surgery. I remember at that time I had a couple of friends here, late Chris Brooks and my friend Professor Dr. Vincent Walsh, who were going to go with me to Bosnia and record a documentary about me going back home after 10 years later. I was a person non grata within my own family and within my own country because I just did not belong anywhere. I was not a Muslim, I was not a Christian, I was not welcome anywhere really. Until I became a Canadian, then everything was fine, nobody cared. So yeah, 2000, I'm supposed to go home for the first time, and my father is supposed to have this heart surgery. So I tell my friend Vincent and Chris, I really don't feel like recording a documentary about this because if I pull this off, this is going to be a miracle. And that's kind of what we've agreed upon. So I decided to, collect some money from my friends here in St. John's, to get a ticket to fly to Germany, to take a bus from Germany to Bosnia, and then arrive at my hometown. The doctor told my father, look, if you wash your face with the cold water and you kind of get a small shock out of it, you might die. Your heart has only 7% of blood coming to it, so you should avoid any sort of excitement, any sort of stress. Just very, very peaceful until the surgery. And I'm supposed to arrive for the first time after 10 years. So I'm thinking to myself, if the surgery doesn't kill him, I definitely will. Because I don't know if you can imagine not seeing your parents for 10 years because of the war, but it is something that I can relate to really well, from 15 to 25. Nevertheless, he said he was going to greet me at the bus station in Sarajevo. It was a very, very emotional moment, definitely for us. It was very emotional for me to arrive for the first time in a war-torn Sarajevo, to see all the buildings damaged, to see what happened and to kind of experience the war from Bosnian side for the first time, because during the war I stayed with Serbs, not with Bosnians. It was a bittersweet moment, Nevertheless, we ended up surviving that moment. We made it home. My mother was waiting for me at home. She got some cakes and whatnot. My father couldn't eat any of it. Tomorrow morning, he went to the surgical center into another city, and I was given a list of people who are blood donors in my hometown in Bosnia and Herzegovina, and I was supposed to go knock at their doors or call them and see if they would actually, give blood for my father's surgery. We live in a small town, in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Everybody pretty much knows everybody, and everybody knew my story. A lot of them thought I died during the war. I was killed by the Serbs. Other people thought I joined the Serbs and I betrayed Muslims or Bosnians. So anyways, me arriving at anybody's door and asking for blood was the least desirable option ever. But I did it. This is for my father. And if not me, then who will it be? So, I actually would go to these people's doors, and a lot of times I would ask for a person who died in the war, because the list was of the people from before the war. A lot of them lost extremities in the war. They were wounded. They died. They were displaced. So it was like every apartment was a landmine. You don't know what was going to happen. They were going to be shot at or hugged at, or But I did it. I ended up meeting about 5. I had needed 5 to 7 people, something like that. So I got these people to provide the blood type that my father needed, which was also a problem too, because you had to match the blood types. And again, a lot of times I would go to talk to somebody and say, but I don't even have the blood type. So I got all these people lined up, and then I took them to the hospital so they can give blood, and we can get their blood and bring to another place. But the doctor said, no, these people cannot give blood here. They must go to the surgical center to another city and give blood there. And of course, none of them were willing to spend the whole day traveling back and forth to give blood, and it was not safe and all that stuff. So finally, the doctor said, you know what, if we do get some kind of fridge with some ice, you'll have a 2-hour window to make it to the hospital. The surgical center was about 2-hour drive. I would say 2.5. So we had to collect that blood, put it in that picnic fridge, which was nothing more than a picnic fridge that you would take to a picnic full of ice, and carry that blood, at highest possible speed, driven by one of my uncles, to make it in time for surgery. And we did it. All the people got there at about 7 o'clock in the morning. We collected the blood by 8. The surgery was to start about 9:45. We left at 8. And we arrived, as my father was being put down, put under, sorry. That was the wrong expression. And, the blood that arrived, and his bypass surgery was done, when he was about 45 years old. He's 73 years old now. It went well. It was a first surgery of that sort performed in Bosnia and Herzegovina. It was an experimental surgery, and because it was an experimental surgery, and the doctors and everybody else who was involved in it were kind of doing it almost for free, because they said, we would like to try. We don't know if this is going to work, because we're going to be removing veins from one part of the body to another part of the body, so it might work, it might not work. We'll see how it goes. So the history of heart issues runs deep into my family. I will find out more about my own condition next week. I hope it's not as bad as my old man's, and that it is just a minor inconvenience and I have to change my lifestyle. But you know what? A story is a story no matter what. Love you all. Cheers. Bye.